Aloha Love Tribe. Guess who I have with us? If you have a really intuitive sense about yourself and you're psychic, okay, maybe not psychic, but just intuitive, you're going to know that we haven't talked about intuition yet at Dance Our Dreams podcast. And so a beautiful friend of mine, Rabbi Jessica Marshall, introduced me to our beautiful, beautiful guest, Aubrey Huffman, who is a speaker and an intuition coach. And she's going to get to share with us why it's so important to listen to that inner wisdom. Aloha, Aubrey. Welcome.
Aloha. Thank you for having me.
Totally. So how's your day going? What's happening here in Boulder, Colorado?
It is beautiful. The sun is out. The moon was beautiful last night. I maybe had 2 cups of coffee this morning, which is like trying to get to 1. I'm doing great.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so you have a podcast called The Queen of Intuition. Tell us why intuition is probably one of the most important voices you can listen to and what happens when you don't.
Ooh, I love that question. And we just touched on this before I jumped on. What happens when you don't? I mean, it's different for everyone, but it's like I have this podcast that started because I wasn't listening to my intuition, and it literally had made me sick. So I had been in a long-term relationship with the father of my child, beautiful man. I want to send him blessings. But my intuition had told me for so many years, that deep knowing, you just have that knowing. My deep knowing had told me this is not the relationship for you. And so what ended up happening is because I wouldn't listen, my body started talking to me. Thank you, body. Thank you,
right?
Body.
Infinite wisdom in this.
And I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. So I would literally, my body was like screaming at me. And the cool thing is the day that I decided to leave the relationship, next morning I woke up, pain in my body was gone, came out of a meditation with this, this is where I'll pull out. We were just joking around. I have like my Queen of Intuition crown.
Yeah, I know. I told her, I was like, do you have a crown? Because you're the Queen of Intuition. She's like, yeah, I have a special one that somebody special made for me. Tell us about that crown.
This is made by my son. Yes. And so it doesn't quite fit, but I literally came out of this meditation with this message, Aubrey, you are going to start a podcast and a brand called The Queen of Intuition. And I'm kind of like, what? Like, I don't want to call myself the Queen of Intuition. But what I have come to realize is my brand, The Queen of Intuition, is really, the Queen of Intuition is this entity that I aim to embody and that I aim to inspire everyone that listens to my content to step into their power as sovereign, queen or king, really, of their own life. Yeah. And so I listened to that. I was like, after I got that intuition, I have to start the Queen of Intuition podcast. I was like, I don't want to call myself the Queen of, me, Aubrey, just like shrinking. But I had spent so many years not listening. I'm like, I got to listen. And so I started the podcast. And
why a podcast? Why did you start a podcast and not just like, oh, I'm doing a blog or a YouTube channel or whatever? I mean, obviously I'm a podcaster and we're putting this on YouTube now. We're starting this, more visual channel. What attracted you to create that type of delivery system for your listeners?
I think it goes back to intuition. It was just this this thing that popped up, like start a podcast. So nothing more than this knowing.
Did you listen to a lot of podcasts? Like, were you like a podcast junkie? And you're like, oh, I can make a cool one about this. Like totally. What was
I love podcasts. Yeah. So, and I was also like, I don't want to be on video, but now I'm on video all the time. So, back to the, why is it important to listen to our intuition is our intuition is our true essence. And if you want to have a deeply fulfilling life, if you want to live out your purpose, if you want to really make all of those dreams into reality, if you want to be seen, I've been talking about that a lot, this deep longing we have as humans to be seen. If you want any of that, for me, the first key is first seeing yourself, is first listening and knowing that inner voice,
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions and I love this. This is great. How do you know? Cause I don't know about all y'all, but I've got a symphony of voices that go on in my head all the time. And I'm like, okay, well, that's my gut and that's my heart and that's my spirit and that's my ego and that's my wounded child. And blah, 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 blah. There's all these voices that are constantly creating a symphony, and they're not necessarily always in battle, but they're definitely always wanting to be heard, each one of them. And so how do you determine which one is the intuitive voice that is connected to spirit, God, universe, love, whatever you want to call that? How do you know? How do you get to know that voice versus the other voices?
Mm-hmm. I love that question. I mean, also past trauma, past trauma is always talking to us.
Mm-hmm.
Two things that I always tell people. One, I'm all about my body and embodiment. And so for me, I check in with my body. So I have all these different voices that are going around in my head, and I'll really spend some time with myself. Is this my fear? Is this my intuition? And what I found is that if it is my true essence, even if it scares me, there is a sense of softening in my body, opening in my body. And if it's fear, and if it's past trauma, and if it's the voice of my mother in my head or society in my head, I personally notice a little bit of tension through my neck and shoulders and a little bit of contraction. So, if you have any kind of practice where you listen to your body, I like it to check in with my body. And it always lets me know, is this making me feel contracted or open? And I go with that. I think that our intuition speaks to us through our bodies.
It's so true. And I think our bodies are obviously these carriers, these vehicles of truth, and these vehicles of energy, and these vehicles of these past imprints of things that have happened, and this system for us to move forward and deliver our message and to deliver our purpose and our truth.
Yeah.
And I know for me, as somebody who, you might think I'm into my body. Honestly, I'm not. I'm operating way up here a lot. And my body, thank God, I love you, but I don't listen enough to my body. There's a lot of people who are really body centric in the way that they go throughout their day, and they feel it and they know it. And I get glimpses into that, like, ooh, my tummy doesn't feel good when I think about doing this decision, or, or my chest feels like, oh, I'm fluttering, so for people who aren't necessarily body centric, what's your prescription for them to help get into body and out of the monkey mind?
I love that you asked that, because even as I was talking, I had this intuition like, oh, Aubrey, his voice was saying, not everybody is like so into embodiment. So I love that question. Yes. I don't know if this answers it, so tell me, because I can riff on this more. But for, like, if you think about, let's say you're entering into a relationship with a new lover or a new partner, like you want to spend all your time with them, you're listening to them, you're carving out time to spend time with them, to go to dinner with them, whatever. Yeah. So, but oftentimes we don't do that with our own beings, with our own self. So it really is just a practice. I say that, when I got out of that relationship, I was 35 or something, 34. I don't know. It took me like 34 years of practice of really learning to listen. So to just be so gentle with yourself. And I wrote about this in my book too. I create these intuition ceremonies for myself where
What book? Tell us about the book.
Yeah. So the book is called Activate Your Light. And, it's all about intuition and listening to that inner light inside, and how to kind of burst that forth onto the scene. But one of the practices that I write about in there is if you want to learn how to listen to your intuition, you have to take time to listen to your intuition, which means you have to not get on social media. You have to not watch Netflix. You have to say no to some things and create this beautiful sacred space to just start listening. And yes, even if if you're having trouble getting out of your head and into your body, grab a journal, just start writing. Or, the answers always come when we create the space and when we create the time. And there's something so powerful. Don't worry so much about getting into your body or getting out of your head. There's something so powerful about just speaking the words and setting the intention. It sets in motion a powerful process when you just speak to yourself or to another person. My intention is to really listen to myself. And that's when people and guides, seen and unseen, can come in to help us listen. And we think it has to be so complicated sometimes too. I have to do an intuition ceremony. I have to learn to listen to my body. I have to get out of my head, and you're just ugh.
Yeah. Already, you're talking about this, and I'm like, oh fuck, I gotta like put this thing on my schedule, and what if I don't do it? Then I'm gonna feel bad about myself if I don't do it.
Right.
Like, how can I be successful at micro doses of intuitive guidance
Mm-hmm.
training? Like, how can I do
Yeah.
that as somebody who
Yeah.
gets overwhelmed and thinks it has to be this big grand this thing, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and my personal belief is that there are so many forces seen and unseen waiting to help us. And
Mm,
so it's so much easier. The spiritual path, the intuitive path, it's all so much easier than we think, than we're led to believe. And so back to just wake up and say, my intention today is to listen to myself, to be deeply connected to myself. And I'm a mess. I'm a freaking mess. And I'm like running around like this, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. But just for today, it's my intention. Please help.
ooh,
You'll be
just for today.
surprised.
Just
You'll
for
be surprised.
today.
Just for today. You'll be
Just for today.
surprised. You'd be surprised at what will come in to help you really wake up that inner knowing.
And so have you always been like this, the queen of intuition? Tell me, like, as a child moving on into the teens and the 20s and the 30s, and you look like you're 30. So like, you know, you're getting there. You're getting as old as this old fart over here. But have you always had this experience of being tapped into your intuition, or was there sort of a turning point for you that woke you up to your intuitive power, superpowers? You know, we talked about
Yeah.
superpowers, and you're, you
Superpowers.
know, yeah.
It's a superpower, and we're all born with this superpower. And I'll touch briefly on my experience. Was that I grew up in, a very abusive, chaotic household, and I knew, my intuition knew, and I'm sure those of you listening can relate to this. I knew something was wrong. I knew something was off, but well-meaning parents and caregivers said, everything's fine, honey, it's okay. And that happens to a lot of us as children, is we know something is off, but then we're told it's okay. Be okay, stop crying, be a good girl, be a good boy, do your work, perform well, and slowly it chips away at our own inner knowing, because it's really confusing as a child when you know it's off and you're told it's not. And
Right.
so it becomes numb. So no, not at all, not at all. I mean, I had to go through all sorts of, pain and suffering and being so sick of being where I was at before I got to the point that was like, wow, enough times I've listened to other people, or I've listened to fear. That's another, back to your questions, that sometimes it just takes experience. Like, you have to listen to the fear enough times to know that voice is not it, to get so like in tune with this ever-present knowing that is within each of us.
All right. I want to invite everybody to take a deep breath, just because this is real. I know for people who are listening right now, it's got to be tough sometimes to like listen to all the static that is around us, and the people particularly that we've allowed to be in our positions of authority, whether it's the news, the media, the doctors, the other mentors, the people that are older than us, particularly our familial environment, the moms, the dads, the grandmas, whatever. It's so hard, because when all that is like coming down on you constantly, but then you've got this little spark of truth that is you and the unique you, but you want to listen to her or his voice. It's tough. It's so tough, and I just want you to know you're not alone. You're not alone. And take time to start listening to those words and those emotions and those experiences and those embodied feelings that you get in your body, like Aubrey's talking about. Because it will lead you to the way of your path and your divine mission on this planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because we are all in this together, and it's a whole process. It's one of the most fulfilling journeys I've ever been on, but yeah, to deeply see yourself. Because sometimes when you start listening, you also see that poor, maybe inner child that needs healing, or you see your fear, or you have to feel stuff that's really, really hard, and it can't all be felt in one moment. So it in my mind too, it's one of the bravest things that you'll ever do, to have the courage to listen to that inner knowing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Have the courage to listen. And, the next step is have the courage to take the next step
The
in
next step.
action for your life, whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, everyone's, I'm sure, had their experience maybe of listening, but on the other side, I know for me, it was such a big hurdle to think about leaving the father of my child. It was such a big hurdle to do some of the things I've done. And to just, you kind of have to trust, but then I'll also say from someone that's been there, like things open up in big ways that you could never imagine when you listen to that knowing, even if it's going to be difficult, even if you think it might hurt other people, even if it doesn't quite make logical sense, even if you're terrified when you're doing it, things open up. They do.
They do. And so we're recording today on a Tuesday, and with Dance Our Dreams, we have like a little, every day of the week has like a certain little vibration that I just think for me personally, and I know that I do this podcast for part of my own healing journey,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that sharing my healing journey gets to help other people with their own healing journey. And so creating a rhythm of the week, even though I don't follow it every single moment, but it helps me kind of design the structure of how things flow, especially as a single mom,
Mm-hmm.
and an entrepreneur and this person who's hoping to make a change on the planet. Kind of like, okay, we've got manifesting Mondays, we've got trust it Tuesdays, we got this Wednesdays, we got thankful Thursdays, funky Fridays, sexy Saturdays, and soulful Sundays. And so each day has a certain vibration, and in my little construct of how I want to do things. And so Trust It Tuesday, today that we're recording, it's really energetically about, those decisions that you make, even though they don't seem logical on paper, but wait, it's not going to fill all the check boxes of my thing. But like your gut is telling you, do this. And I know for you, it sounds like leaving your, the relationship with your child's father. Like I can relate to that too. I was married for almost 15 years, and I remember sitting in the parking area in front of the courthouse when I was supposed to go file divorce papers. And it was one of those like, are you fucking kidding me? You're supposed to be married till the day you die. No, 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 all this stuff. And all the left brain was going over here. And I set an alarm for 11:11, which was yesterday. The date was yesterday. And I forgot that I set the alarm for 11:11 because it was about the time that I was going to be going into the courthouse. And I sat there, and I had snots running down my face and tears, and I was red, and everything was disheveled, and I looked like the biggest disaster zone, I'm sure. I don't know. I didn't look at myself in the mirror, but I knew I was like a fucking disaster. And I'm like, please God, spirit, universe, Bob, Fred, whatever you want to call yourself, please give me a sign that this is the right thing to do, because I can't even understand that. Like, I thought I'm supposed to go do this path over here. I thought I was supposed to go do this path and be with him forever, right? And he's the best. He's my best friend, and I love him to pieces. But there was something. And literally, as I was praying and talking to spirit and asking my wisdom, my intuition, my guides, the alarm went off. And it
Ooh,
and it was
goosebumps.
11:11, and I'm just like, ugh. And then of course I collapsed even further and felt horrible, but then I felt validated. And as sad as I am that had to be the path that we chose as a couple, even though we're a family still,
Mm-hmm.
I listened. And it's just this invitation, like that you're talking about, Aubrey, like listen to all the things that come in around you that you don't know when and how and where they're going to show up,
Mm-hmm.
to like give you that truth for your next step.
Yeah.
And like, even though it's been a tough journey, it's been cool and fun, and I love it, and it's great, and my kids are healthy and happy and safe, and I'm okay. And it's just, I
Yeah.
would not have been able to grow the way that I'm growing right now if I would have clinged on to the old paradigm
Mm-hmm.
of what I thought I was supposed to
Mm-hmm.
keep doing.
Exact same story for me. Yeah, I mean, how do you learn to trust yourself? You just
Yeah.
take that first leap and you trust yourself. And then you build trust in yourself, because every time you take that step to trust yourself, you see the results. You see that you can.
you see that you can. And again, on the Trusted Tuesday, like whatever, again, I support all forms of whatever your connection is to divinity. There's no right or wrong way. But like, to me, like, I want people to remember, like, listen to that connection.
Yeah.
Like, get quiet and still with your connection with your version of spirit, and then know that, like, you're going to be okay.
You are.
And you are okay.
You are okay. And you're okay even if you're making choices right now where you're not listening. Like, that's part of the journey too. Like, it's all okay. You can't really, that's the other cool thing. You can't derail. I mean, sometimes you can like slow things down a little bit, but you can't derail. Like, wherever you're at right now, wherever you are listening, like, you're totally okay. You're right on schedule,
Oh, I love it. Right on schedule. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I know. And we probably, I bet a lot of us have this version or vision of the version of ourselves that we're supposed to be. And it's kind of like, you're here now, baby. Like, you're doing your lessons, you're doing your gifts, and give yourself a freaking hug.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about, I mean, the work that you do, to me, is paramount for all of us. It's not a little thing that you're like, we're going to listen to ourselves on the side over here, and then we're going to go do this thing over here with my mind map and my business plan and it's like all the decisions I teach a tripod model that you guys know about in some of my other trainings, but every decision that you make, it's like, if you can listen to it from a place of intuitive knowing and trust, you're going to feel a lot more confident and powerful going forward. And so, let's talk about a couple different things. Let's talk about our experiment of the week here at Dance Our Dreams podcast.
Yes.
That you want to help people do.
Yes. So many things came up when you asked me that question. Can I just share two? I got to share two.
Do anything. Yeah.
So I like to bring the body into it. So whether you're like way into embodiment practices or you've never kind of brought your body into it, I'm going to share a practice that I actually learned from one of the podcasts I recorded. Do you know who Andy Dooley is? He's like a Boulder guy.
No, I
don't. Okay. Andy Dooley.
Turn me on.
Yeah. So he loves to dance too. Actually, I'm getting the intuitive hit right now that you two need to meet.
James, okay, Andy.
You got to have him on the show, actually. So here,
okay, cool.
Began here. I just planted the seed. So Yay. I had Andy on my podcast, and I don't know, I think his brand is called Vibration Activation.
Fuck yeah, I'm the vibe goddess. Woohoo, let's go.
Yeah, you need to meet this guy. But he shared this practice with me on the on the podcast that we did, and I just want to share it with you because it seems so cheesy, but it actually does shift, and in a weird way, it connects you to your own power. It's called the power pose. So just imagine, like, old school pictures of Wonder Woman, like standing with her, feet solid on the ground, yes, and her hands on her hips, and so exactly, like, literally. You take a moment and you're feeling unsure of yourself, put yourself in power pose.
Totally.
For 30 seconds, hold it for 30 seconds and just notice the shift you might feel.
It's
and
so
when Andy told me that, I was like, oh my God, yes. So, I mean, even now I'm just feeling, I don't know, you feel this connection to your heart center. It's not 100% logical.
Yeah.
But when I'm feeling unsure of myself, I put myself in power pose and it shifts my state immediately.
It does.
I liked to call, sometimes I call it like the intuition pose. Like, I'm starting to feel like, oh, I'm unsure. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I don't, that place I go into, power pose.
Shrink. Yeah.
Yeah. So think like that Wonder Woman, like hands on the hips, standing straight up for 30 seconds.
Okay.
And see if something comes in, just a thought or a knowing or whatever. And then we briefly touched on it earlier, but I really want to encourage you guys this week. And I know things are busy, and I mean, I'm a single mom. So I say this, maybe it's not this week, but there'll come a point in time, if you're listening and you hear this intuition ceremony practice, where you'll be like, this is the night, this is the moment, this is the morning, this is the evening where I'm going to like create an intuition ceremony for myself. So
wow.
If you don't already, like, collect some special things that you might put on an altar. Maybe you have oracle cards, maybe you have a candle, maybe you have certain stones that speak to you. I mean, whatever it is, I have a dragonfly right now, like, that I found in my garage. Like, maybe it's pieces of nature, but be alone. People can be in the house, but be alone in your room and literally set up a ceremony for yourself. this, and it can look like whatever you want it to look like. Sometimes I go into greater detail, but I feel like those of you listening, you just kind of know, maybe you set up some pillows and cushions, you create a little altar for yourself. And the ceremony is just an intention that you're putting out there to the universe to honor yourself, to honor your own intuition. And you set this sacred space where you say, I need to connect to myself. I want to connect to myself. I want to know what it is that my soul, that my deepest knowing would like me to live out, would like me to embody. And you can set that intention. You light your candle, you have your special pieces of nature or your stones, you have your journal, you have your oracle cards, and you've just opened a portal. You've opened a portal with the intention and the power behind your own words. You've opened a portal by just creating 20 minutes for yourself by yourself. These are very powerful things not to be overlooked. And then, maybe the first time you do it, you don't have this crazy magical experience, but if nothing else, just, I'll go into meditation sometimes, but just open up your journal and just start writing and let your own inner knowing and let your intuition come through in a really powerful way, because you've set this container, this way to honor yourself. You've created this ceremony, this space, this time, this intention for your own inner knowing to flow through. So you'll know when the time is right. Like I said, if you're listening, it might not be this week, but trust me, it'll come to you. You'll be like, oh, that intuition ceremony that I heard on that podcast, I'm going to do this for myself tonight. And it's a really cool practice. And it seems like, it doesn't seem like anything fancy, but it's so powerful to just have that intention, to have a ceremony for yourself, to connect to yourself. So power pose, you guys, you have to try.
All right.
I mean, if you hold that for 30 seconds, stand up straight.
All right. Okay. Let's just do it right now.
Can you do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
30 seconds.
I curse on the podcast, FYI. Right. Just so wherever you are. Okay. So check it out, guys. So ladies, guys, people, all of the aboves, whether you're driving in your car, listening to this podcast, whether you're at the gym on the treadmill, whether you're home, whatever your jam is, think about, because a lot of times you're in your car, right? And you're like, what could be a power pose in my car versus the power pose in front of my mirror? Mm-hmm. Right? Because obviously you can have these like Wonder Woman power poses, but like, what would Wonder Woman do while she's driving her kids to school? I mean, like, and if she's feeling like, oh my God, they're arguing, I want to smack them both upside the head, but I want to love them too at the same time. Yay. Like what could be a moment that you take for 30 seconds that is just sort of like this inhalation, whatever your body position is that you want to do, so that you can change your state, so that you can change your mind, so you can change your frequency, so you can change your life. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And so you're in your power pose now, and it really is just there's so much power in the intention to connect to your own power, to connect to your own wisdom. Magic happens when you just set the intention. Take a deep breath, bring your shoulders back. Yeah. Okay,
cool. Okay. So Aubrey, lead us on I'm going to obviously have a strange power pose compared to you, I'm sure. I mean, not that it's like, whatever. I'm just like, we're going to have our own stuff. So lead us on how to do our power pose for 30 seconds together.
Yeah. Okay. So you're in the car. Please be careful if you are in the car. Okay. Keep your eyes on the road. But so just take a big inhale. So you're listening, big inhale in, pause for a few moments at the top of your inhale, and exhale. And in the spirit of listening to your body, you're going to bring your shoulders back so that you're sitting up or standing up straight. And then your arms or your hands are going to just go somewhere. They might go to your hips like I was showing. They might go straight up in the air. Yes, they might. Like, you're just going to intuitively know what is going to be your power pose. I'm literally feeling this right now. And then we've been in this for a few seconds. So as you are in this pose, the intention to connect, continue to take a few deep breaths. Continue to hold that power pose. I can just feel this energy right now, this collective energy of all of us and everyone listening, with this intention to connect to our highest self, to bring in wisdom and understanding that is beyond our own experience. Touching into your own ability to be a powerful creator in your own life. We invite in the knowing. We invite in our own internal wisdom. You know. Okay, I don't know if it's been 30 seconds, but you can just release that. Woo! Is that part of the show?
Holy cow! That's perfect.
Woo! Da, 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 da. You should have like a mid podcast like dance break where you're.
Oh, dude, let me tell you, like the copyright issues about putting music on a podcast is, as you know, is it's the most
whole
obnoxious
other
thing in the universe.
I
And
know.
that's why I like TikToks, because obviously we can do TikToks. But that was my reminder, because I'm doing like adrenal testing with a functional medicine doctor, and I have to go spit in a cup in a little while. But
yay!
um, okay, so how did that feel for you, Aubrey? Like to get everybody into their power pose?
Yeah, I was feeling, you know what I really I think I was like in sort of like jumping ahead to the timeline when people are going to be listening to this. And I was just feeling the energy of when everyone comes together as a collective with a shared intention. Yeah. And we're pulling on so much energy. I was just feeling that coursing in. And I think I was just touching into all of your listeners, sort of like just the simple power of intention and connection. And whew, like I was feeling it.
It's pretty cool. I know. Yeah. And that's obvious. That's a whole nother podcast. And that's actually part of the Dance Our Dreams ethos, is like creating experiences around the planet that at 11:11, you know, and it's 11:11 somewhere always, you know? Yep. And so whether we're doing like in-person experiences or whatever, it's like mentally, like what happens when we as a collective humanity tune in to each other. And maybe we do a power pose at 11:11, right? Or something that's even, it just takes like 5 seconds. It doesn't have to be like, you know, a million years. But what happens to the frequency and the vibration of our planet? And I'm kind of a hippie, yeah, but I'm also like a scientist, and I love geeking out on quantum fields and how things work together in harmony and unison. So I think there's a lot of power there and potential. So I love that you're tapping into that as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of research that what happens when people meditate together, that there's like less crime in like a 20-mile radius. Dr. Joe, what's his name? Dr. Joe Dispenza is like big on doing that research.
Totally.
It's like a real thing. It's been measured that so really what you guys just did here on the podcast, us joining together with the intention to connect to our own power. Totally. There is a measurable difference that happens in the energy field. So
it is. And I think, you know, again, doing this, whether you're meditating, whether you're dancing, whether you're singing, whether you're praying, like when there is cohesiveness in your field and in your heart center, there's an organization called the Heart Math Institute, and they do this thing, you know, and you sounds like you might know them. Yeah. What happens, like, there's less violence, there's less anger, there's less hatred. So it's like, to me as a DJ, like if I can get more people dancing at the same time around the planet through our digital, beautiful technologies, holy macaroni and cheese, right? Like we can make some massive difference. So meditate, pray, dance, power pose, tune into your intuition, you know, do all these things. And if we can consistently align, we're going to like drip all the goodness out to all the other folks, and it's going to be contagious in a good way. And
I love that you mentioned dance, because that's like a huge way to connect to your intuition, because you're literally you're dancing out the fear, you're dancing out the shame, you're dancing out the confusion. If you dance hard enough and long enough, you're just left with your truth.
Precisely. And that's as a dance, like I became a DJ not because I wanted to be a DJ, it's because I'm a dancer first. And I recognized a lot of the energy and the vibrations of certain DJs that I would go see, and they weren't aligned with my highest and best truth. And so I thought, well, what would happen if I went and took a chance and, you know, wanted to go play some music for people? And this was, you know, well over 20 years ago, when there was vinyl records for us old people. Oh yeah.
I want to dance with you.
We're going to have fun, sister.
Yeah.
Trust me. Yeah. And so we're doing some Dance Our Dreams events, and we're going to have lots and lots and lots of fun. But dance is definitely a way, you know, there's ecstatic dance, which is fabulous. And it's a great movement around the whole world where people just kind of get to go free and they get to get in tune with themselves. My intention with Dance Our Dreams is to step it up to the next level. What happens when we all come together in community and we learn about something like a United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, which I'm going to ask you about in a second, because you picked number 5. What happens if we set our intentions for our own dreams and remember our own dreams? What happens if we write those down on a little index card? So whether we're at a yoga studio, a women's prison, a 50,000 person festival, whatever, what happens if we all stick them in these little dream buckets? And then the best part is, I love this part. We pick someone else's dream out of the dream bucket.
I'm getting goosebumps.
And we hold it in our heart. And I look and I'm like, Aubrey's dream is for her child to, get into this school, or Aubrey's dream is to have a job that supports her family, or Aubrey's dream is something about her health and fibromyalgia getting healed. And when I take your dream into my hand, and then the DJ, which I want to train other DJs to do this, what happens if we're all dancing at the same time for someone else's dream other than ourselves? And how does that dream contribute to the big dream of our planet, again, which is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals? And I love that framework because I'm a dork and I like frameworks.
Whoa.
What happens if we create this consistent opportunity every day of the week? So, a lot of us go to yoga, we go to meditation, we go to church, we go to 12-step meetings, we go to the counselors, we go to core fit, CrossFit, whatever. We go to, the philanthropic luncheon with our friends, and I'm like, I don't have enough hours in my day to do that. What if we just made this one little experience that everybody can kind of go to, set intentions, get in community, move our bodies, say thank you, and talk about it.
I love that.
So that's what Dance Our Dreams is about.
I've got full body goosebumps right now. Seriously, that's so beautiful. I love that.
And so that's what we're up to. And it's like, we're in the baby steps right now. But I really feel like I want to empower the planet to go dance and be together and use their musical gifts and their songs. And, this podcast to me is like an epicenter of let's talk about what the SDG of the week is. Let's make a vibrational song of the week. And you picked your song of the week. Let's have our hack of the week, tuning into intuition. And then the teachers around the planet can talk about that. But then we all just let's get it. But remember, I don't know about you, but as a single mom, I forgot to dream for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I remembered I'm supposed to be super mom and I'm supposed to be super wife. And Val is sort of over here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, what would it be like if we all remember to put our dreams down as much as possible on a little piece of paper, And
I love that you're embodying that right now by speaking your dream, because that's so powerful. There's something about it being here, but then actually speaking it is bringing that timeline closer to reality now,
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then when we get to do it in community and we think of oh my gosh, Fred over there wants to have a pupusa food truck. I don't know. That's his dream. I'm going to dance for that guy's dream. I got his card. Hell yeah. And then not knowing, I think the fun part about the Dance Our Dreams experiences is not knowing who's got your dream in their hand and looking around the room and just being I wonder if she's the one dancing for my dream. And I wonder if is he dancing for my dream? But then also knowing that you're holding someone else's dream and you're dancing the fuck out of that dream for that person. Yeah. And I create, we create the most happiest, positive music so that we can all just kind of rise up, get in our bodies. And then I just think it's it's a different way of coming together and using movement and music and intention and love and community and the greater good. So that's what we're doing.
You're such a beautiful soul. Oh, I'm feeling you.
I'm a dork, basically. But yeah, I listen to my intuition, and it, people are like, well, what's your business model? How are you going to make money doing this? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not worried about that right now. I just know that if there is one person who gets to dance at one of our events and they get transformed somehow, and maybe they get less depressed, less anxious, maybe they're not suicidal anymore, maybe they've got new hope, new found truth for themselves, the job is done.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that we can touch more people than just one, Okay, but let's talk about your song of the week and your SDG of the week, because you're awesome.
I think that I emailed you my song and I don't even remember what I emailed you.
I know, I'm looking at it right now. Hold on.
You want to know? This is going to be so freaking cheesy. I
have it. Shining Bright. It's Shining Bright by Tritonal.
That is such an amazing song. But another song I've been listening to to talk about being a dork is the Muppets movie. There's this song called Everything That You Need. No, it's called Life's a Happy Song. And this whole song is just the Muppets belting out like, I've got everything it's like like a musical song. It's such a feel good song. So if you have Spotify, go to the Muppets movie and listen to, life's a happy song when there's someone by your side to sing along.
Oh my God, I love it.
It's such a feel-good song. But yeah, Shining Bright is like, that's my whole thing, is like activating your inner light, which is really activating your intuition. And so I love that song, Shining Bright.
Oh my God. But, and obviously anything by the Muppets, just like the Rolling Stones, is going to be awesome.
It's such good vibes, man. The Muppets are like good vibes. So
they are good vibes, right? Like moving right along in search of good times.
Yeah, you can't not smile when you listen to. My son is like so annoyed with that song because I've been listening to it a lot this week, and I won't even tell you what he likes. He's into country music a little bit. And I'm like, I don't even know how you're 6 and you're into country music.
Well, get him on Willie Nelson. Of course, Willie Nelson is like the best, Oh my God. But it's true, right? Like the minute you could be in the most exhausted mood. And if you put on the right song, it shifts your vibration, and that's why I call myself the vibe goddess. Cause I'm like, okay, my superpower as a goddess is to put music on and make people feel good.
You are the vibe goddess. I love that you call yourself that. Yes.
Well, and I like that, because as the queen of intuition, I heard you saying earlier about, if you give yourself a name, an embodiment, an identity, your hope is to kind of step into that and rise up to that vibration, right? And so, I'm a burner, and like people who go to Burning Man have all these like playa names, and they're like, I'm I'm the super pancake person. I'm like, hell yeah, you are. You feed the masses for breakfast, and whatever it is, it's like your own identity is so important, and so to like give yourself permission to rise up to this identity that you wish to become. And then on your deathbed, you're like, fuck yeah, I was the queen of intuition.
Yeah.
Word,
I've like totally like rose up to that in the past couple of years doing this. I started off like, it's changed my life. It's changed my life.
Right? It totally does change your life. Cause then you have this almost sense of responsibility to like embody that which you claim. And I would invite all of the listeners out there. It's like, listen to your intuition, find out who you are. Like, who do you want to be on your deathbed, and embody him or her, and have some fun with it and give yourself permission. Cause I know, like, I named my children Athena and Apollo. Okay.
Really?
Oh yeah. Crazy names, right? And I mean, even though their dad is Greek, I'm like full white bread from Detroit. I'm like a mutt. I'm not, I'm not ethnically like, inclined on any dimension there. But like everybody in my life, they're just like, those are really big names to live up to. I'm like, yep, they are. And I guarantee you they will. And so far they have. Athena is the goddess of war and wisdom, kicking my ass there. And Apollo is the god of sun and music and medicine. And so far, great, kicking butt, and it's like, who is your persona that you can like go embody?
Step into. Yeah, I love that.
And so the queen of intuition. So let's, 2 more things. So we're going to talk about the SDG of the week, and then we're going to tell everybody where they can find you around the world. So for the SDG of the week, you picked number 5, which was gender equality. Tell me why that's so important to you.
I love it. I love that you do that. That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, all of them are important to me, honestly. But for me, the gender equality really actually tied into my brand too, because I really feel, I actually am getting more and more men that are following me, but mostly like I've really been aiming at women learning to trust themselves, because I think part of gender equality is creating systems and religion all over the world where there is this sort of understanding that that maybe women can't trust themselves, or women can't be trusted, or women. So it's just so huge for me for there to be, I just feel like saying, like, I love men too. Like in this whole process, we've gone to this other extreme of like, sometimes like hating men. I love men, but,
Me too.
but having this rising of equality. And I understand that part of that comes from privilege, right? Like, so some of us that have more privilege, we have that ability and that time to even listen to ourselves. For some women all over the world, it's not even safe to listen to themselves. It's not even safe to trust themselves, like physically, emotionally. And so I think part of what we can do in the Western world with the privilege that we have is to really start listening to ourselves. And what I found is that when women start listening to themselves and really trusting themselves and speaking what they know and saying what they know and asking for what they know, it brings equality, right? We take full responsibility. Yes, there's systems, there's so many other things to talk about. I'm not ignoring that, but this piece of when we really start speaking, when we really start asking for what we want, there brings this level of equality into play. And oftentimes we get these intuitions, I found, that start businesses, that start movements, that help other women all around the world to come into equality. I found that so interesting, especially for women. When we start listening, what we're called to do brings more equality. And so that's huge for me. I mean, that's my big dream. That's my big dream, is to empower women to trust themselves.
Totally. And
as many
like,
women as possible.
do you know who Greta Thunberg is?
Oh, of course.
I mean,
Yeah.
young girl, right? 15 when she started her yes to her intuition of like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sit outside the parliament and protest,
Yep.
and now she has, because this young, beautiful, sweet girl said yes to her voice.
Yeah.
Now there's millions of us that are activated. She's working with Leo DiCaprio and all of these beautiful people, and she's met Obama and all, and it's like, that's brave. That's brave to go listen to that voice, especially as a young girl who's like, okay, I'm already kind of weird and I don't fit in. And how am I going to, and she's just like, fuck it. I'm sitting out here and I got my sign and I'm protesting because
she's super inspiring.
You adults are sucking right now. And it's really easy to get smushed, but somehow this woman, this young woman, she said yes to her voice and she is changing the conversation. She is activating people to do things, not just like, let's talk, but like, my kids and I go to the climate change marches. We do all these different things. I still know that we could do way more, but because she listened, just like you said, and with equality, and nobody told her no, because she was a girl. And it's a bummer that obviously there's all these other unfortunate systems around the planet that don't allow women to speak up, use their voices. And so I love that this is your SDG of the week. Yeah.
And like, we really do serve women. We serve people everywhere when we listen to ourselves. It's not just about us, it's not just about us.
Yeah. It's definitely not just about us. And it certainly, as the men are the like holders and the protectors of things, and the women are the cultivators and the growers of things. And it's like, we do need gender equality and harmony. And I do love men too. And I feel like, this is a whole nother episode that we could get into about, like, I feel sad that men have been lately with the Me Too thing. I'm like, certainly pull out the weeds in the garden, but for the most part, the garden is awesome. Men are fucking amazing, and so are women. And
it's like gone to the other extreme, and maybe to come to the middle, we had to go to this extreme. But I kind of want to bring it back here a little bit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so this is awesome. So where can everybody find you, my beautiful one?
Well, it's super easy. You can find me everywhere across all social media channels as the Queen of Intuition. It's my website, the Queen of Intuition, my Instagram, which I'm super busy on over there, is the Queen of Intuition. My podcast is the Queen of Intuition. Awesome. So yeah, I invite you to just check out all my content. A lot of it is centered around intuition.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. And do you have anything that, for our last moment, is there anything you'd love to share with our audience?
I love that. I always ask that to people too. Okay. So when I tune in, it's just this reminder, which is this is a huge part of everything I do, is that you are already healed, that you are already whole, that you already are the intuitive goddess that you want to be, that you already know, and that you are totally okay. and that everything that you need to heal, to know, to move forward, to dream is within you. And it's just that process of setting the intention and waking up that it's already here. You already are that. And you are so beautiful and you are so loved. Yeah.
That sounds so good. Thank you. I need that reminder sometimes too. And we all do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. All right, Aubrey Hoffman, you're the best. Oh my gosh. Queen of intuition.
Here I am.
The queen of intuition. Look for her on all the social media channels. And remember, you guys, just like Aubrey just said, it's already there. Like, get out of the way of what's already there for you. Yeah. All right, Aubrey, I love you. Thank you so much for spending all this time with the Dance Our Dreams tribe and the Love Tribe. And I look forward to seeing you more in person here in Boulder. Oh my goodness, I'm so
on the dance floor. On the dance floor.
Another friend, yay. All right, everybody, let's do this together. Let's everybody take a big inhale of love. And exhale peace out to our beautiful planet. Thank you so much, Spirit. Thank you for guiding us. May this be for the highest and best good.